Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning to all of you. So today we are going to discuss about climate change, where the focus we are going to go through is the effect of the climate change itself. So climate is usually defined as the average weather in a place. So it includes patterns of temperature, precipitation, humidity, wind, and storms. Seasons. So we know that because so many systems are tied to climate change, a change in climate a change in climate can affect many related aspects of where and how people, plants, and animals live. So today we are going to discuss and go through about the negative effects of climate change in today's world. So for me itself, in my point of view, I think that climate change really gives effects towards humans' health. Why do I say that? Because we know that when climate change, it causes the rise of the temperature. So the rise of temperature would lead to global warming. So when it comes to global warming, there are many people died due to heat stroke and something like that. So in 2008, research in USA found that this global warming, which caused heat stroke, had been the top two in USA that caused human death. So this climate change do really affect the health of the people itself. So I also want to state here that climate change affect health in terms of the virus itself. When the climate change, we know that the disease is spreading faster because the virus is more active in a hotter temperature. So when the disease is faster, the people, especially in Africa, they could get disease easily. Okay, so I think, and also we know that when 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 the sea is draining, the fish in the sea is lack of protein, is lack of some nutrients. So when we people eat the fish, we also can get bad effect from that due to the virus in the fish itself. So that is from my point. What do you think, Ifa? What is your point of view? Oh, you still think about it? What do you think, Siula? About
In my opinion, climate change will affect both the distribution and behavior of the wildlife. This is because the rises of global temperature cause the melting of icebergs, and this give the direct impact on the wildlife that live in the South Pole and North Pole, because they are losing their habitats due to the rising of sea level. Besides, the rising of temperature also will cause them to death because their physical features are not suitable for them to live in a warm environment. Also, the shrinking polar ice cap will also cause the polar wildlife to lose their hunting area, and subsequently will cause the decline of their population. Besides, the climate change also affect the migratory pattern of the migratory birds, because the long-term drought conditions will cause the drying of the wetland, which is the breeding area of the migratory birds. And also, this caused them to lose their habitats, and also will cause them to their population to decline because they lose the breeding areas, and they are forced to migrate from the breeding area earlier, uh, as compared to before. And the same condition with the migratory birds, the mammals are affected to change their hibernation period because the rising of temperature caused them to come out sooner from the hibernation because the temperature is no longer suitable for them to hibernate. And so, in the nutshell, climate change threatens the wildlife, making them facing problems in terms of their habitat loss, food scarcity, and decline of population. That's all from me.
May I interrupt for a moment?
Yes.
But I totally agree with you. All the natural disaster, health, and what? Where? Wildlife. Okay, but my opinion is change in climate. I think it's the most effect is the food production, because when the food production is reduced, reduction in crops yield and livestock productivity, it will cause us human need to eat. So we eat from the crops and eat. So the plants are in fact of a like a drought, flood, and depletion of the ozone layer can make the plants, animal tend to reduce his food. And also, and such areas like Australia and Sahel in Africa, they will likely experience reduction in water available for the irrigation. And like latitude at the middle to a high latitude, cereal crop yields are projected to increase slightly depending on the local rates of warming and crop type. And the greatest decreased food production will likely occur in dry and tropical regions like Africa. That's why they don't have enough proteins. Then it can make a bad health for them, right? Wheat yields could decline. For example, wheat yields could decline by as much as 35% by 2050. This was a research made of. And climate change also affect many fisheries, like you said, and fisheries increasing the temperature, so the fish will actually move to the cold place. So the fisheries tend to fish did not get the what you mean food. So I think climate change is very likely to affect global, regional, and local food security by disrupting food availability, decreasing access to food. The potential of climate change to affect global food security is important for food products in Malaysia for us, because the main food for us is rice in Asia. Rice is made for the crops. So I think the food production is the most effect on the climate change. What about what do you all think?
Uh, I think instead of wealth, health, and on food, climate change will also give big impact to environment and people. And my focus is on environment, which is, for example, it will cause flash flood, natural disaster, and so on. And it will also cause the rate of heat absorbed is higher than heat release on Earth, and it will cause the world temperature to rise. Um, Next example, climate change will also cause the sea level to rise. And for example, at island, the rises of temperature has caused the ice to melt, and the sea level rises 4 times compared to the past 10 years. And when the sea level rises, it will also worsen weather and expand the ocean. Uh, the ocean will also become more acidic and will give the bad impact to environment and living thing.
Oh, okay. But if you can see, the effect of climate change, it is actually related to each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So I think maybe if I have the another point of view of the effect of climate change itself.
Okay,
Climate change.
for me, my point is are all related to all of your view about your to environment, health, wildlife, and crops and production. Because in my point of view, climate change will affect the economic in a certain, not a certain, in all country, because the true economic impact of climate change is hard to predict, but it's safe to say that many key of economic sector is very affected by the weather and the temperature of the earth. Okay, so um, like you said just now, when the sea temperature increase, of course the temperature of the world increase, the temperature also increase, right? So there is no fish near the uh, place that hotter place. So then like you said, you also said that it becomes more difficult to fishermen to fishing the fish at the place that they usually fish, so that the fisheries industry economic uh, will disrupt. And as after that, the because of the rising in temperature, the crops and the plantation will destroy, and also the as I said, the economy of crops and plantation like paddy to produce rice and other crops will
Yeah.
will have a big problem in their economy. And also in a certain country like in Asia, the recreation and tourism industry will disrupt because of the increase in temperature, because the recreation and tourism industry are weather independent, because the tourists will go to the country because of their weather, right? So when the weather or the country temperature rise, so maybe the tourism also disrupt. And the planning based on the historic weather patterns are critically not is very bad. Okay, and I want to add something that affect the economic, that in Alaska in 2014, the natural disaster has had occurred at their country, and because of the natural disaster, the the telephone poles at the most of their city are fall down, and all the communication system and the productivity factories and
Distracted.
disrupted.
Disrupt and distracted.
Yes, and because of that, the economy of their country for that year, 2014, is fall down badly. Yes.
Okay, I can see your point. Okay, so I think we are having to reach our consensus. So I think the effect of the climate change is related to one another, and I think everybody agree that climate change do affect the health of the human itself, affect the wildlife, the crop and production, the environment itself, and the economy itself. So I think we would like to end our discussion for today. Thank you.